Graham Gano will be kicking off for Carolina. They won the toss and deferred. The new rule this year is if it's a touchback, it comes out not to the 20 as it has forever, but to the 25. There's going to be some interesting strategy. A lot of teams are going to choose to kick it down to the outside, maybe to the 15 or 10-yard line, and take their chances on making the tackle.
And they have 3 returners back for the Broncos just in case.
They have 2 guys at the 20, 2 at the 5, and 1 all the way back in the end zone. It's the mile-high altitude here, and we start the way we normally do in Denver with a touchback. So here he comes. Trevor Siemian played his college football at Northwestern, grew up in the state of Florida. Last year he got in for 1 play, took a knee in Pittsburgh, and there's Gene Steratore probably wishing him some good luck. The referee tonight, and here we go. Game 1 of 256 on the National Football League schedule. C.J. Anderson is the running back. Demarius Thomas goes in motion to the left side. And the fake, and then a sidearm sling, and that's caught by Demarius Thomas. And a nice way for Siemian to begin his career. An 11-yard gain for the former baseball player, throwing sidearm for a first down.
He just turned a double play. I think Brett Favre would be proud of this one. Coney Ely right there just dropped down like a baseball player would and got it out sidearm. Perfectly done. And that's the kind of poise. Everybody that we talked to, Al, didn't they? They said the same thing. This kid is just so cool. If he's nervous, it'll be the first time we've seen it.
Last year, of course, he spent all year under the tutelage of Peyton Manning, followed him step for step from the 31-yard line. First down for the Broncos, and a straight drop back here. Look out, pressure comes, gets it away and throws it away. Pressure that time put on by the safety, Kurt Coleman. Let's take a look at the Bronco offense.
Trevor Siemian, Northwestern.
C.J. Anderson, UC Berkeley.
Andy Janovich, Nebraska.
Demarius Thomas, Georgia Tech.
Emmanuel Sanders, SMU.
Virgil Green, Nevada.
Russell Okung, Oklahoma State.
Max Garcia, Florida.
Matt Paradis, Boise State.
Michael Schofield, Michigan.
Donald Stevenson, Oklahoma.
Pro Football Focus ranks at the bottom there. 2 new tackles, both picked up in free agency. So on second down now, rolling to his right, and the pass is a little high, intended for Emmanuel Sanders. It'll be 3rd and 10, and let's take a look at the Panther defense.
Charles Johnson, University of Georgia.
Star Lotulelei, University of Utah.
K'Wan Short, Purdue.
Coney Ely, University of Missouri.
Shaq Thompson, Washington.
Luke Kuechly, Boston College.
Thomas Davis, Georgia.
James Bradbury, Sanford University.
Kurt Coleman, the Ohio State University.
Trey Boston, North Carolina.
Benet Benwickery, San Jose State University.
Great front 7 and 1 rookie, not 2, starting in the secondary, because Benwickery is a veteran starting on the other side. From Bradbury, Siemian flushed out, throws against the grain, and it's caught by Green for a first down. So Siemian escaping, rolling against the grain, and firing it for a gain of 11.
Well, we've seen the athleticism already, a bootleg and now a move to the left and a very easy shoulder turn and throw back to the right. Just nicely done. They have thrown 3 different looks at him defensively. One of the things Carolina is going to try and do in this game is never sort of give him the same pre-snap look.
Here's a quick snap on first down. Pass caught on the Carolina side of the field. Emmanuel Sanders, he of the new contract, 3 years for about $33 million. They've already picked up as many first downs in the game tonight as they did in the entire Super Bowl on 3rd down.
And interesting on that 3rd and long, I'm not sure they converted any of them on 3rd and 7+ in the Super Bowl. 0 for 7 in that game. And here he comes out and gets the first 3rd and 10.
New look here. They went out and drafted, the Broncos did, Andy Janovich, a fullback. And Gary Kubiak incorporating him into the system, and there he is fronting Anderson. Green goes in motion, the tight end to the slot, and on 2nd and 5, Anderson cuts it back. First down and more to the 34-yard line. C.J. Anderson had a good second half of the season last year. Miami wanted him. Denver had to match the contract, and they did. Gain of 13.
Got Shaq Thompson right here, and watch the fake of the bootleg. Hold right here and allow this cutback on the backside. They're very excited about the two new tackles they've got in here. Russell Okun, Donald Stevenson on the outside. They think it's going to really perk up their running game.
At the 34-yard line. Green comes this way to the right slot. Keep it on the ground. Good room there for Anderson. Takes it to the 29-yard line. Nice opening drive for the Broncos. Take a look at that Carolina D, talking about that front seven. They gave up those 24 points, but only 194 total yards, and 1 for 14 were the Broncos on third down.
One other note on the defense of the Carolina Panthers. We thought we were going to see two rookie cornerbacks start. Instead, Bené Benwikri, number 25 in the game, as the other corner, along with James Bradbury.
Now you've got a rookie Devontae Booker as the tailback here, and this is his first NFL carry, and he gets to the 28-yard line, and the ball is loose. Booker's first carry results in a fumble, and it's recovered by Carolina. So Simeon makes that impressive debut, and Luke Kuechly, no stranger to forcing fumbles, comes up with it. Carolina gets it. So Booker's first carry is a fumble, ends what was a good-looking Denver drive that went 46 yards, 8 plays. Now the crowd roars. Cam Newton, the league MVP, to take the snap, and they start on the ground and give it to Jonathan Stewart, their workhorse back, 9th year out of Oregon. And let's go back to the fumble.
Yeah, Luke Kuechly's going to come shooting through and make the hit, but it's Charles Johnson's going to get his hand in there and strip the ball out. And Booker had some issues in college fumbling the ball, but he'll learn in the National Football League. You better hang on tight or you sit the bench.
Shaq Thompson with the fumble recovery. The ball at the 35. Trips to the right. They stack 3 receivers in that direction. Newton out of the shotgun. And on 2nd and 4, they run the option. And it's taken for a first down as Stewart gets it up to the 45-yard line. What a problem for the defense, because Newton, of course, can run. Then they have that mesh point. He handles that about as well as anybody. Gives this one to Stewart.
Now watch Jonathan Stewart here with this elusiveness. The second most elusive back in the National Football League. He made 56 people miss last year. You don't think for a big back that's going to happen, but a lot of times that strength is able to just pull away from those arm tackles.
You've got Newton 245, Tolbert 250, and Stewart 240 as your backs. Those are your 3 backs in this set. And this time it's given to Mike Tolbert, who went to the Pro Bowl. Short gain here. And it'll be 2nd and 9. For Cam Newton, great season, 4th quarterback in the history of the league to win the MVP award before the age of 27. He's in his 6th year. Won the Heisman Trophy at Auburn and was the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft back in 2011, with Von Miller of Denver as the #2 pick that year. Pretty good Quinella. 2nd and 9 at the 47. Pressure. Newton hangs in, fires errantly, incomplete, intended for his favorite target, Greg Olsen. And let's take a look at the Carolina starters.
Cam Newton, Auburn University.
Jonathan Stewart, the University of Oregon.
Kelvin Benjamin, D. Florida State.
Ted Ginn Jr., The Ohio State University.
Greg Olsen, the U.
Ed Dixon, Oregon Ducks.
Michael Orr, Heidi Toddy Land.
Andrew Norwell, The Ohio State.
Ryan Khalil, University of Southern California.
Trey Turner, LSU.
Mike Remmers, Oregon State.
Of course, it was Remmers who took all of the heat last year. It was Remmers, for the most part, facing Von Miller, and before they can snap it on 3rd down, timeout is called by the Carolina Panthers. Ron Rivera, pedigree is defense, played his college ball at Cal, then with the Chicago Bears. 3rd down and Newton since 2011 when he came into the league. Take a look at that. Leads the NFL in all of those categories. 66% of the time he picks up a first down on 3rd and whatever. So when you talk about the Carolina running game, I mean, I don't want to say it starts with him, but he is obviously a very key figure.
He's a remarkable player is really what he is. And I don't know that we've seen players like him very often. He's a quarterback. He is a fullback. He's the running back. He's the ringleader. And there was the kryptonite a Super Bowl ago.
Which led to a gigantic 9-figure contract for Miller. 9.5 to go in the quarter. 3rd and 9 after the timeout. Empty backfield. Newton with good protection fires and then is caught, and then is Kelvin Benjamin, who had a great rookie year, and then last year before the first preseason game had even been played, tore his ACL and was gone for the year. Back he comes this season, gain of 17.
Mike Tolbert down on the chip many times in the Super Bowl. Tolbert was in that position and did not make contact. You give Cam a little time, and there he is, the guy that they have been waiting to return, Kelvin Benjamin, a guy that is so big, he just looks unusual playing the wide receiver position.
It's about as big as Beacham, too. 6'5" and 245. A little flip this time to Ted Ginn. Ginn inside the 30. He has a first down and takes the ball to the 16-yard line, where the safety, Darian Stewart, catches up with him. Another first down for the Panthers.
Misdirection, a big part of this offense, but watch Cam here as this thing goes the other way. Just sort of casually stand there, but then get the seal block on the outside. And when a guy 250 blocks you from the quarterback position, you pay attention. Pretty good shot right there.
It's a throwing shoulder, too. Come up this time in the eye with Tolbert fronting Stewart. Out of a tight formation. This is Stewart to the 14. Stewart used to be part of double trouble with D'Angelo Williams. Then Williams was sent to Pittsburgh. Take a look at the Bronco defense now.
Derek Wolfe, Cincinnati.
Sylvester Williams, North Carolina.
Jared Crick, Nebraska.
Vaughn Miller, Texas A&M.
Brandon Marshall, Nevada.
Todd Davis, Sacramento State.
DeMarcus Ware, Troy.
Akeem Talib, Kansas.
TJ Ward, Oregon.
Darian Stewart, South Carolina.
Chris Harris Jr., Kansas Jayhawks.
Excellent corners. Of course, with Miller and Ware, you know all about them. Guys up front are good. Record-setting defense last year under the guidance of one Wade Phillips. Jumping across but getting back, and that was Shane Ray who came across the line. There's a flag first.
Expiration of the play clock. Carolina has called their second timeout.
Well, he came across the line. They called the second timeout. Newton had looked up at the clock, so they've used 2 already. 2nd and 8 when we come back. The one and only Wade Phillips, defensive coordinator last year. Look at those numbers for his group, and of course they were spectacular in postseason and off the charts in the Super Bowl. So Carolina had to take its second timeout. It's 2nd down and 8 now as we resume play on the Panthers' opening drive. And over the middle, and that is caught in the end zone by Benjamin. So what a return for Kelvin Benjamin. Great rookie year, out all of last year. Flag is on the field at the 1-yard line, coming out late. But down the field they go after they recover the fumble. And pending the flag, that will be a 71-yard drive. 5 rushes and 3 passes, 8 plays total.
I just don't know how you defend this when you've got a body this big. Just going to throw it above the rim and go get it. And let's give a little credit to Mike Remmers on the outside. Had a very tough Super Bowl indeed, but getting the job done so far against Von Miller.
Waiting for Gene Sterator's call here.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, taunting, Carolina number 70. The 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. This is also number 70's first penalty as it relates to his disqualification.
And that's a new rule. You get another one of those and you're gone. You're out of the game.
But basically it's not an in-game personal foul. It has to be sort of after the fact, taunting, talking, pushing, fighting, something like that.
Right.
After the play.
So it'll be assessed on the kickoff, and jumping up and down. Well, I guess you could say that's taunting.
Little much. Good call.
Yep, 33-yard field goal. Extra point. Second year for that rule. Graham Gano puts it through. And the Panthers cash in on the Booker fumble. 7:13 to go in the opening period. 7-0 Carolina. So 7-0 Carolina on opening night. And Denver to get the ball again. They had a good first drive going until the fumble. And then the cash in by the Panthers.
Carolina, the #1 takeaway team a year ago, and off to a good start here.
And here's your penalty being assessed here. So the kickoff is from the 20-yard line. And he bangs it to the back of the end zone. That's about, what, 88 yards in the air? From the 20 to about 8 yards into the end zone. The Denver quarterback situation, the Odyssey, as it were. You go back to last year, Peyton Manning retiring. They thought they had Brock Osweiler, but he said, no, I'm going to go to Houston for $72 million. So they bring in Mark Sanchez in a trade from Philadelphia. They draft Paxton Lynch and trade up to get him. Simeon was here last year as the #3 guy, and he didn't figure to be the starting quarterback. But John Elway figured, all right, let me bring in Sanchez, see if he can win the job. He didn't. And it was Simeon who won it. And his pass to the outside here is caught along the sideline by Emmanuel Sanders. Out to the 39-yard line. That is a gain of 14. See if he got it. Denver's going to get up to the line fairly quickly.
Ooh. Was he in possession or was he in the air?
Well, no challenge flag yet. And whatever it is, it's history. C.J. Anderson to the 42. I thought Rivera might throw one there.
You know, you never know how coaches react to those things. Is it too early in the game and you don't want to waste one and all those kinds of things? Big game, but
right.
The most impressive thing so far for me has been the play of Trevor Siemian. I mean, and give Gary Kubiak some credit because he's come out and allowed this young man with all eyeballs on him to throw the football.
From the 42, that's close to a first down, and that's Demarius Thomas. Caught 105 balls and a few drops as well last year, and that's enough for a first down. They made Demarius one of the 3 team captains. Demarius Thomas last year, another good season, 7th year in the league, #1 pick back in 2010. Been to the Pro Bowl 4 times.
Yeah, I wish I had a bad year like he had. 105 catches, 1,300 yards, 6 touchdowns. I can see that's a horrible year.
Weems is eligible here. That's Janovich, the fullback, coming into the backfield. And trying to provide leverage, but getting none right there because you've got Luke Kuechly taking care of C.J. Anderson.
You just can't get there. The Denver Broncos were talking about Luke Kuechly and the chess match that goes on with him. They're going to try and give him some looks that look like last year and then are completely different. They say he is the one guy that seems to know your offense better than the offensive players do, and we've seen it already. A forced fumble on a big hit, and now come right back and make another big play.
He was their first pick back in 2012 out of Boston College. They go empty with 5 wide here, and it's caught on the outside, and Anderson breaks a tackle and stays in bounds, and C.J. Anderson gets it to the 30-yard line.
You're going to get the 2 linebackers in the gap, but look what happens. Star Latulele, because when Kuechly drops out, the guard had moved down, but it was Trevor Siemian who hung in there, kept his cool, got the ball out, and a big play. Now watch this hit at the end of this one with Davis.
From the 30 now. Stay on the ground. This is Booker. So Booker, after he made that debut, which you'll never forget, with a fumble, holds on to it this time and gets it just inside the 25-yard line for a gain of 6.
Andy Janovich in there leading the way, but you know, this is a good move for Gary Kubiak as well. Young man comes out, you know he's nervous, You've got Trevor Siemian. You know he probably was a little nervous, and what do? Throw the ball all over the park. He fumbles the first one, put him right back in the game and let him play.
He said that Kubiak said Booker will see a lot of action as he won the number 2 job over Ronnie Hillman, who'd been here for a while. They let him go. And again, on the ground to the 21-yard line goes Booker, about 1.5 yards short of the first down. Third down upcoming.
Well, there's no question that these two linebackers about as good as there are playing the game. Thomas Davis and the speed that he has, which is so remarkable after having 3 straight years of knee surgeries, and Jerry Richardson just believed in him, told him you're still our guy, brought him back again, and boy have they rewarded the Panthers with his play lately. He has just been sensational. But here they go again. Watch these two linebackers right up in there. They want to put pressure. Very rarely do both come.
And 3rd and 2, leaping and making the catch is Demaryius Thomas. He went to work on the rookie corner James Bradbury and won that spot, and is a little slow in getting up. First down, Denver.
3rd down and short. They're going to go after Bradbury, but this has been the key guy in this football game so far. Trevor Siemian looking the safeties off. Now remember, this is a young man that went into Notre Dame Stadium while he was playing at Northwestern and got a win there. So it's not the first time he's been in front of the bright lights.
Demaryius Thomas has to go to the bench, and they go to the ground here with C.J. Anderson taking it to the 16-yard line.
They just cannot get to Kuechly. They just can't get to him. They're trying to reach him with the backside tackle here all the way across, and there's just no way. Boy, he reads it so fast, and really he's making all these great run plays, but I think without question he's the best cover linebacker there is in the game.
He rarely has a bad game, rarely has an average game. He is all over the place. On 2nd and 10, look out, and Simeon's going to go down. So he surveyed the field, didn't see anything, and then Vernon Butler, the number 1 draft choice out of Louisiana Tech, picks up his first NFL sack.
Immediate pressure, but you'll see all the way around the field. Good coverage by those linebackers we were talking about on the outside. There's Trey Boston with solid coverage and just nowhere to go. And right up the gut against Max Garcia, the young rookie, makes an impression early.
Butler with a sack. Thomas comes back into the game. They go 5 wide on 3rd and 19 from the 26. And it is tipped, and it is picked off at the line of scrimmage, and that is Thomas Davis. 3 ACL surgeries. His arm looking grotesque in the Super Bowl last year. He plays through everything every year. 12 years in the league. Gets the pick here. 2nd turnover for the Broncos. Carolina with the ball. We talked about that front 7. Have they done a job already tonight? Kuechly, Davis, yet Butler with the sack, the Tulele with the tip to create the pick. A minute to go in the opening frame from the 36-yard line. Newton getting away and avoids the sack and then just dumps it into the bench. And then he pays a little bit of a price at the end and wants to know where the flag is.
That was close for sure. Let's go back to the interception very quickly here. Latulele, when he sees these linemen come out, just going to slide with them and get his hands on the ball. Very savvy play there by a veteran. I think Cam Newton is now going, I thought we protected the quarterbacks in this league.
It was Derek Wolfe who popped him at the end. 2nd and 10. And coming out of the backfield with it, staying on his feet and chugging forward. Jonathan Stewart played his college ball at Oregon. Panthers picked him number 1 back in 2008.
You know, you don't think about Jonathan Stewart being such a big guy until you stand right next to him. 240 pounds at least, and he is just rock solid. Mike Tolbert on the other side, he's listed at 250, maybe just a shade over that. Huge guys. This is some team coming off the bus.
Every package is a jumbo package with these guys. Waning seconds of the quarter. Empty backfield on a 3rd and 6. Looking for the shovel, and there it is. And a great tackle at the 41-yard line. Darian Stewart came up to make the hit. And that creates 4th down on Mike Tolbert. End of 1. It's Carolina 7 and Denver nothing on opening night. And this NFL kickoff special continues on NBC after these messages. Jordan Taylor is back to receive. This is Andy Lee, longtime 49er, went to Cleveland and then to Carolina during preseason, multi-time Pro Bowler, and he will drop that one into the end zone. You know, you look at the Denver Broncos, Chris, and rarely has a team gone into a season with as many questions. Of course, it all revolves around the quarterback situation. You know, everybody thinks that Simeon is just a placeholder for Paxton Lynch. I mean, how do you see this playing out down the line?
Watch him closely tonight as he plays. You'll see a guy that has a very professional delivery of the football. It's a very tight motion. He gets it out. And they say the most impressive part about this young man is the way he processes information inside the pocket. That's what they look for. When they go out scouting quarterbacks, that's the one most important feature they look for.
Very bright kid. He went to school in Florida, had a 3.9 grade point average. And we asked him about the future in professional football after college football. He said he had a choice between Northwestern, Harvard, and Rutgers. Deep drop here, and the pass is caught up at the 35-yard line and taken in there by Emmanuel Sanders. So Sanders off to a nice start tonight. 3 catches for 34 yards.
Emmanuel Sanders had a nice week, got paid too. Let's take a look at the motion here of Trevor Siemian. Now, he's not a huge guy, but not a lot of wasted motion there, right over the top and really accurate. And the thing that I enjoyed about going to practice, a lot of times the offense and defense can be split, but every time he made a good throw in practice, the defensive guys were whooping it up like somebody had made an interception. Very rarely do you see that. You know he's liked.
Anderson following his fullback, CJ off to the races to the Carolina 36. The fullback, Andy Janovich, the rookie from Nebraska, picked him in the 6th round. Kubiak loves fullbacks, and so does Anderson right now. Gain of 28.
2-time state wrestling champ. Look at this block right here. And not only does he get the block, but he gets a little angle to let C.J. Anderson know exactly where he expected him to run. Beautifully done on Thomas Davis. Big hole. And look at Demaryius Thomas on the outside, sealing down on the safety. There you go. Get the missed tackle on the outside by the rookie James Bradbury. There he is. And Demaryius Thomas, absolutely one of the best blocking receivers in the game.
Another deep drop. Simeon, he's going to take off. We're going to see him run. Thrusts forward to the 29-yard line. Luke Kuechly made the stop on the guy who played at Northwestern, had a phenomenal game against Notre Dame. You were there, Chris. And then the next week at Purdue, tore up his ACL.
Isn't it amazing? Your best moment followed by your worst. But he really was thinking that he was just going to go get a job. You know, he had already sent out some applications. He said, yeah, you know, I was splitting time at quarterback at Northwestern. I'd love to play. I'm in rehab. Is anybody really going to take me? And the Broncos drafted him in the 7th round, and look where he is now.
And he was going to go into commercial real estate if he didn't make the team. Anderson, gain of 1. His father's a surgeon, Dr. Walter Simeon. In fact, his folks are here tonight. Mom Colleen, there they are. Dr. Simeon, Colleen.
They've been in a few pressure situations. Mom's an emergency room nurse as well, so they don't look too nervous. No. Trevor doesn't look too nervous. I don't know why anybody was too nervous.
That's where he gets it from.
Of course, you don't get any gold stars for moving it between the 20s, right? You got to start scoring some points here too.
And you can't turn the ball over. That's been the problem twice thus far. They give it to the fullback, and Janovich's first carry in the National Football League is a touchdown. Gary Kubiak has to be laughing to himself. This is what he loves to do. This is what he wanted to do. He couldn't do it with Peyton Manning last year, but it's his ball club now, and the fullback scores.
Watch Bené Benwikri. He said there's no way they're giving the ball to the fullback. He's going to run right by him. Didn't even see him. Never even considered that Andy Janovich was going to get the ball. and there he goes. They get Kuechly blocked. They miss a tackle down the field by Kirk Coleman. How about that?
So they say the fullback is a dying breed. McManus's extra point for the moment goes through. We got a flag.
He may never want another carry the rest of his life. Just carry that average around forever.
1 for 1. 1 for 1, 28-yard average. Look at that. If this penalty is on Carolina, they can opt to go for 2 and take half the distance.
Defense. The penalty is declined. PAT is good. Timeout.
All right. Take the point. 12:16 to go in the opening half on opening night of the 2016 season. 7-7 in the Mile High City. Of course, a packed house at Sports Authority Field that's touched, and so it has to be run back by Ted Ginn, and they will smother him at about the 11-yard line. Carolina will start deep in its own territory. About 3 minutes into the second quarter, 7-7. Now they line up with Ginn in the backfield. Fake it to him. Newton will keep it himself. And Cam, who ran 8 times per game last year, gets it out to the 15-yard line where Miller makes a stop.
Yep, and Von Miller, you think about him as the pass rusher, but he also is excellent against the run, can just hammer the edge here. They try and pull out, kick him out here, make some room for Cam. But Von Miller basically took away the left and the right and nowhere to go.
Second and 6. Fake to Stewart.
Look out.
And Cam escapes and just flings that one toward Aurora. Chased by Todd Davis. On the topic of 1 and 2, how was that in 1983? Elway was drafted by the Colts and then refused to go there. And they facilitated a move Marvin Demoff did to the Denver Broncos. That turned out to be pretty good. And Eric Dickerson winds up as the second pick.
Yeah, and Elway had that look about the Colts, and we all know how he felt about that one.
Right. Oh, it was like Eli Manning in San Diego. Play clock at 2. And that's a third timeout, so they will now have used all of their timeouts in the first half. And Cam gets into a little bit of a give and take with T.J. Ward. Ooh, and there's some chit-chat going on.
Yeah, well, Cam Newton's not going to be afraid of any of that.
I don't think so.
Carolina practices, they do more chit-chatting than you can possibly imagine. And T.J. said, you're not chit-chatting here.
Well, Cam is 6'5", 245, and T.J. is 5'10", 200.
But this is a defense that, see, you know, Cam sort of, he didn't like that, getting the crowd into it very much and initiated it. Of course, we all know about after the game and what happened and his frustration and walking out on the press conference. And
well, yeah, I mean, the league put them in a cattle pen to do this.
Terrible. He could hear the comments of the winning team and the Denver defensive players on the other side of the screen saying that we were hoping they would throw the ball. We knew we would win there.
Right.
I think that was the one that sent him over the top, and he said goodbye.
Yeah, it was about a 90-second pout conference, according to the people who were there. But there's something to be understood about having to be in a situation like that. 3rd and 6. And that's fired and caught up at the 30-yard line by Kelvin Benjamin. So showing no effects of that ACL. Darian Stewart makes the tackle. And now all of a sudden, the minute I say that, he starts to limp off the field here.
Yeah, and when you go and get hit directly in the back of the legs here, this has got to be the one that you stay up at night and think about after you've been through that kind of surgery. But when you have a guy that's 245 pounds, the defensive backs will tell you, what do you want me to do with it?
Yep. Got bent back, so he's over on the sideline for the moment. Check on him. We get a flag. Steratore looks like he's been really working out in the offseason.
Timeout. Denver. A 30-second timeout.
Giving Hockley a run for his money. Let's go to Michelle.
Well, let's recall that Kelvin Benjamin was running a route in training camp practice last year when he tore the ACL in his left knee. You can see him plant that left foot, and that led to season-ending surgery. Now, the ACL is a major ligament that connects from the back outside corner of the knee to the front inside corner, and it stabilizes the shin bone directly underneath the thigh bone. Benjamin told me he was on bed rest for 2 months after his reconstructive surgery before he could walk on it, Al.
Thank you, Michelle. Michelle's going to be the Surgeon General someday.
No question. She's getting good at all that
Great
stuff.
at explaining that.
Oh, you remember the year he had, though, in 2014 before that injury? So many of the plays like we saw on that touchdown, he just kept going up and playing above the rim, and one of his best friends on the team, Cam Newton, loved throwing to him.
Yep, 1st and 10 at the 30-yard line. And that's Newton again. You know, Newton told us last night, it's a very interesting story. He loses Benjamin last year. He's really depressed because not only does he lose his #1 receiver, but he's a great pal. And he got a text from Ricky Prohl, who was with, and there is Ricky, wide receivers coach, who was with the Rams in '99. And they gave Trent Green a huge contract. He got hurt in training camp and was gone for the year. And a guy named Kurt Warner took over. Nobody knew who he was.
Yeah,
next thing you know, he's the MVP. He's the Super Bowl MVP. And well, that made Cam feel a little bit better. 2nd and 4. They give it to Jonathan Stewart. Up to the 39.
You know, one of the, there's never an upside when somebody gets hurt, but the one thing it did do for Cam Newton was it forced him to begin to look for other targets on this offense. Those two guys had become so close and so successful in 2014. Cam just wanted to throw him the ball all the time. So when he went out, then they started discovering Devin Funchess and Ted Ginn and Philly Brown, and now they're a much more balanced passing game.
Of course, Greg Olsen, the key guy last year. Benjamin is back in the game. He's outside on the bottom.
Unbalanced to the right.
3rd and 1. And handed off to Jonathan Stewart out to the 42. He goes, and Brandon Marshall makes the tackle. 1st down, Panthers.
All unbalanced is they just move an extra tackle over here, and now the tight end is right there. So just try and give you the look like they're going to go to the right, and instead they just cut it back to the left, and that was just a one-on-one matchup. And Jonathan Stewart has a way of converting those kinds of plays.
Now you've got Fozzie Whitaker in the backfield, one of their 3 backs. Stewart, Tolbert, and now Whitaker, who's more of a cutback guy at 5'10", 205. Send him out into the pattern and then throw it to him, and Whitaker makes the catch and gets tackled after a couple of yards.
One of the really effective things that Carolina did do, oh, here we go. Brandon Marshall down, and he really is now the key weak side linebacker with Danny Trevathan no longer here.
An injury timeout, 2nd and 6 when we come back. Marshall on the bench. They tend to him. Took a shot there, and Shaq Barrett in the game for the moment. There's Whitaker making the catch. That's the neurotrauma specialist with the blue hat. You'll see a lot of those folks this year on the sidelines testing them. 2nd down and 6 as play resumes. Whitaker is in the backfield. And Newton hands off to Whitaker, and Fozzie Whitaker will pick up a 1st down. As we tick down to the 8-minute remaining mark, TJ Ward makes the tackle. 1st down.
Get all the power going right up here, and then Dixon coming down right there to lead the way. Those two guys with the double team on big Sylvester Williams, who had a nice game in the Super Bowl. But when Fozzie Whitaker comes in there, he looks like he weighs about 165 pounds after seeing everybody else on the field, and that quickness is a nice change of pace for the Carolina Panthers.
Tight end Ed Dixon serves as the fullback here, and Whitaker has it again and takes the ball to the 44-yard line. Todd Davis makes the stop. Last year, the Panthers averaged 31.3 per game. They scored 500 points, and they led in running plays as well. A very unusual combination. Not since the '91 Redskins did it, had that been done. 27 straight regular season games with 100 or more rushing yards, and that's the longest streak since '78.
Yeah, you think a little bit about Atlanta with Mike Vick and the running quarterback and the way it adds up those rushing yards.
This is a team that's won 19 of its last 20 regular season games, and that is thrown behind Benjamin. And that time it was Jared Crick who was picked up in the offseason from Houston, who came in to deck Cam.
What you'll see is when they fake this way, the linebacker has to move, and they try to hit this slant right in behind where that linebacker is vacated. It's a very much a base part of this offense, and it works great when you're running the football well. What happened to them in the Super Bowl was they weren't running it well, and Cam was getting hit about like that.
Squinting after the hit. Now we have a flag before the snap.
Prior to the defense 12 men, Denver has called their second timeout of the half, a 30-second timeout.
Yeah, you don't see that very often. You've got 5 timeouts. All 3 for Carolina have been taken, and 2 for Denver.
Well, what's even more unusual is we don't have to take a commercial because they've taken so many times out at this particular point.
Right. Statistical update, rushing yards, each team moving the ball extremely well on the ground, and the 2 turnovers for Denver, one of which was cashed in for a touchdown for Carolina.
Yeah, let's look at this number right here first of all. 176 yards of offense, and you think back to the Super Bowl, they only had 194 total in that game. So Trevor Siemian coming in here, even though they had the 2 turnovers, they're moving the ball up and down the field.
Yeah, they were 1 for 14 on third down conversions in the big game, and tonight 3 for 4 on third down. 3rd and 6 for the Panthers. Newton flings it to the outside, and that is Devin Funchess who makes the catch and is able to stay in bounds.
And they're moving Von Miller around now, trying to help get him a little bit of pressure inside. Looks like good clean catch, and the heel never came down. If it had, it might have been incomplete.
First catch of the night for Funchess. And for Stewart, this is his 7th carry of the night. We go to Michelle.
Well, Brandon Marshall went back to the locker room with the neurotrauma consultant, which means he is being evaluated for a concussion. He had a concussion in 2014, so if he is not cleared, this would be his second, Al.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. There he goes back to the locker room, and of course the league has gotten very serious about that issue.
Invested a lot of money in new helmet technology. We heard all about it the other day. 2nd and 10 from the 35-yard line. As Newton fires, and that bullet is incomplete, intended for Kelvin Benjamin. Aqib Talib still down, covered on the play, and now he gets up. Of course, a great, not only a pair of corners, but 3 here with Chris Harris and Aqib Talib. And then into that mix you throw Bradley Roby. And linebackers that can cover too.
Yep. Long drive. This is the 14th play of the drive that started back at their own 11-yard line. 3rd and 10. Blitz coming. He gets away, and then it is caught on the outside by Olsen. To the 19-yard lines. You had T.J. Ward coming. You had Darian Stewart, who was lined up about 15 yards downfield. He was blitzing too. Newton able to escape. Turns it into a 13-yard gain.
Well, here's what a great quarterback can do, because you get all these guys blitzing. When they stay in the block, the guys that have man coverage on them go after them. So now if you spin out, once they start blitzing, there's nobody there. And because Cam Newton's such a great athlete and able to escape that, he was able to come up with a big play.
Tolbert flanks Newton here. And Cam's going to take it himself and get around the corner. And It's out of bounds at about the 18-yard line. More than 5 minutes to go in the opening half.
Yeah, and you get the feeling more and more that Cam is settling into this game. And I always thought for quarterbacks, and I played a little in high school and college, that sometimes getting hit and running the ball early in the game sort of settles you into the ball game, that you start to feel like, hey, this is a football game, and your brain slows down. And Von Miller's more than happy to oblige him anytime he wants one of those, though.
He gets a breather. 2nd down and 7 from the 19-yard line. Off the fake to the outside, but nothing there for Olsen. Chris Harris on top of him at the 19-yard line. It's going to be 3rd down and 7 with the 17th play of the drive coming up. And that's one of the reasons you looked at Miller and he was gassed.
Yeah, and opening night, regardless of where you are, is tough because you've only been playing maybe 20, 25 plays in preseason. And now you've got a 17-play drive to deal with.
At 5,280 feet, Ware is out for the moment. 3rd and 7. Miller in, Ware out from the 19-yard line. 5-man rush, and the pass caught inside the 5. That's Olsen, who gets in front of Ward, and that moves the chains.
Let me tell you the biggest difference in this game and the Super Bowl. It's what Cam Newton is doing. No longer is he dropping back to that 10-yard depth. Now he is sitting back in the pocket, and Von Miller can no longer run that edge. He was back here in the Super Bowl. That's where Cam was, 10, 11 yards deep. Now he's sitting there at about 7, and Mike Rimmers is having no problem so far.
Very balanced drive, 8 runs, 9 passes, and a flag thrown here.
Defense, 12 men. Penalties half the distance to the goal. Still 1st down.
And that'll take it from the 4 to the 2. Looks like Justin Simmons, the rookie, number 3 draft choice out of Boston College, may have been the 12th man. You only want to be the 12th man in Seattle. Or College Station. This will tie the longest drive in terms of plays in Panther history. Play number 18. And it's Newton to the end zone, and Cam Newton has a touchdown.
That's a record setter.
Reached for it, got the pylon. He said there's no dab this year. He's got a new dance, and of course it's not very much appreciated in Denver.
He's looking for the football now.
Yeah.
When Cam Newton or any quarterback runs the ball, instead of, think if the quarterback hands off and then just stands there. Well, now it's sort of a 11-on-10 kind of game, you know. But if the quarterback can run and you get that extra blocker in front, it changes everything defensively in the way you have to defend him. That's the reason down around the red zone in particular, he is just a devastating weapon.
So that drive took 9 minutes, 15 seconds, 18 plays, 9 runs, 9 passes, 89 yards. Graham Gano for the 14th point with 3:01 to go in the half. Cam Newton to the end zone, 14-7 Carolina. Cam Newton beginning his 6th season in the National Football League. Just put his name into the record book. Most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback, 44. He passes Steve Young, has played in about half the games that Steve did, and also most games now with a passing and a rushing touchdown. So he's just beginning his career in effect. I mean, Newton could go for, what, 10 more years at least. And he will obliterate those records.
I think he's still developing as a passer, too. You can just see him getting better and better every year.
And a touchback here, which means Denver will start at the 25. Well, Cam said he had a new dance. All right.
Oh, yeah.
You can weigh in. 1-800-anything. They took Marshall back for evaluation. He's been cleared, so he's back on the bench and can get back into the game.
You know, one of the things I learned this weekend is that is the team doc and the trainer of the team that actually makes the final decision, not the independent doc that's on the sideline. So multiple reasons for that will be for another day.
So they begin from the 25 under the new rule after the touchback and start on the ground with C.J. Anderson to the 28-yard line.
Well, Trevor Siemian, everybody in the Broncos building told us they were expecting big things. Came right out and did the little sidearm delivery, scrambled left, turned those shoulders right on the money. He's been throwing it from the beginning. Watch this release, 0.33. Now we clock a lot of quarterbacks, and about 0.30 is as fast as we've seen, and he's needed it a few times. That time Starla Tulele was coming hard.
Second down and 8 from the 27. Here's Anderson again. C.J. Anderson, he made the Pro Bowl. He's a Pro Bowler on 2 levels. Talking to him the other day, he loves bowling. He's so good at it, he has rolled 3 perfect games and bowls in a league where he can win some money. So he's been to the Pro Bowl, and his dream is to be on the Pro Bowlers Tour someday.
Said he was more nervous getting ready to bowl that 300-yard game than he was playing in the Super Bowl.
2-minute warning in Denver, 14-7 Panthers. Third down and 7 now, 2 minutes to go in the first half. And to the outside and incomplete. That's Jordan Norwood. First time they've looked his way tonight. The rookie James Bradbury covering, and it'll be 4th down.
Yeah, and the arm strength is creating some challenging throws on the outside for Bradbury, but here's a young man they are very high on from early on. He's a small college, comes out, and of course Josh Norman was the guy ultimately he had to replace, and they've been taking a lot of chances in the secondary so far, but he's played well.
The rookie punter is Riley Dixon. He was a 7th-round pick. They let Dustin Colquitt go, and Ginn gets hammered at the 32, and a flag comes in at the end of the play. So we'll get the call from Sterator before we take the break with 1:45 to go here in the half.
Pretty significant foul,
yes,
which way this one goes.
During the return, holding return team number 26. 10-yard penalty. First down, Carolina. Timeout.
And that's the other rookie corner, Darryl Worley. Back after this. And this is Newton taken off. And to the 31-yard line, close to a first down. Darian Stewart makes a tackle. Remember, there are no timeouts available for this team, and only one for Denver if they get the ball back. Used all of them by the early part of the second quarter. Second down and 1. Clock running with 1:23. Whitaker finds a little bit of a crease and goes up to the 34-yard line.
They just wanted to make sure they converted that first down, and now 3 extra downs. Now they'll get back into the hurry up mode. Some very creative stuff tonight by Mike Shula. He is not putting these tackles in harm's way. The chips have worked, and really Mike Rimmers has done well on his own.
He has. And Newton fires, and that's caught on the outside by Benjamin, who escapes. Got away from Roby and takes the ball out to midfield, but the clock keeps on rolling. It's a first down right at the midfield stripe, under 40.
You better bring help if you want to try and tackle Kelvin Benjamin.
And just spikes it here to stop the clock with 33.
You know, it's been a year. You sort of forget what a factor this guy has become. I mean, there's nothing fancy about this. Any other wideout, you just make the tackle. Roby's a good tackler, but on the outside, Von Miller got about as close against Mike Rimmers as he has so far. That bull rush and the inside move, but Cam Newton able to get it out.
Came down the elevator today to come out of the stadium with Mike Rimmers' brother. Introduced himself and said, "Hey, take it easy on my guy tonight, would you?"
We're taking it easy because he's playing great so far.
Broncos got penalized with 12 men on the field, so it's 2nd down and 5 at the 45-yard line. Cam's going to run, and that'll be a 1st down, and the clock is going to keep on moving to the 32-yard line.
The problem is, in these prevent situations, you have 2 safeties deep. There's not enough to cover a running quarterback up the middle.
And he's going to spike it here. So, normally timeouts in the first half don't mean much. Who cares? But this is one of those situations where they're paying the price right now.
Yeah, but you're in the Mile High City, too. And so field goals of 50 yards plus, extremely possible. We've already seen Gano kick one out of the end zone from the 20-yard line. Here's the run right here. So there, you could see Jared Crick. He's even just sitting there waiting for it. There's just nothing you can do. Too big, too athletic.
Brandon Marshall back in, that linebacker for Denver. Clock is running, play clock. 2nd and 10, and that pass reaching for and making the catch and getting out of bounds is Greg Olsen.
If TJ Ward had touched him down as he was sliding across there, that clock might have kept rolling and been the end of the half. Let's take a look. If he dives right here and gets a finger on him before he rolls out of bounds, Olsen knew it. He was reaching hard for the sideline. An opportunity there missed.
Great catch and great thinking by Olsen. It's been around a little while. 44-yard attempt now for Gano to try to make it a 10-point game. Andy Lee is the holder. And a flag is down. Aqib Talib came across the line.
It's offsides, Denver.
Even if it is, you got 3 seconds. Then what are you going to do?
Oh, you're taking.
You're not taking the points
for sure.
You're not taking the points away.
No way. That was an impressive drive with no timeouts.
Offside. Defense number 21. Penalty is declined. The field goal is successful.
So that makes it 17-7 with 3 seconds and a kickoff coming.
Just a great play here by Greg Olsen, not only to make the catch, but then to extend the ball, because all Ward has to do is touch him at any point there. If Ward had been diving trying to make a play, he would have made contact, would have been down there, the half would have ended.
So a very brainy play and a great physical play by Olsen to let them get into position to extend the lead. Started his career with Chicago, and he has really blossomed. He was good with the Bears, but he has been great with the Panthers.
Yeah, he has been their leading receiver and major weapons. Had a bit of a back issue. They let him rest for a couple of weeks at the end of preseason. But so much of this offense, now he's the little receiver out there at 255. Cam Newton, that has been a brilliant first half by him. You can tell he was calm, cool, and collected in our meeting room, but sort of had that look, didn't he, Al?
Yep. And a beautiful hat, too. Some great lids. And out to the 25, it'll come for a probable kneel down. Championship game rematches, first game following season. You have to go back to 47 for the first one. Cards, Eagles, 48. Of course, there were far fewer teams in the league at that point. Season opener in 52. Bills and the Chargers in the AFL Championship, and the season opener in 66. But then in the Super Bowl era, only the Chiefs and the Vikings. Chiefs won Super Bowl IV. Hank Stram, of course, guiding them, Len Dawson, and they met the following year. So the kneel down will end the first half. Panthers will get the second half kickoff. So we start the second half with a McManus kick. That goes through the end zone, touchback to the 25, and let's go to Michelle.
Well, Ron Rivera told me at halftime his team started this first half exactly the way he wanted them to. He said, we threw the first punch. We wanted to show we're not afraid of them. And Chris, you talked about Cam Newton not dropping back as deep as he did in the Super Bowl. Rivera told me they're trying to keep things very tight around that pocket to keep those edge rushers at bay.
Thank you, Michelle. It's what's been going on in the first 30 minutes of the first of 256 National Football League games, taking us into January. Last day of the season is actually New Year's Day this year. From the 25-yard line. Ted Ginn sets up behind Newton, and the ball is given to Stewart. Up to the 28-yard line. Gain of 3.
Well, you say, how's the MVP playing in this one? He's playing a whole lot like the MVP, and he has. Watch him drive his hips through some of these throws. Not only is he big and strong, but has that same sort of whip that golfers have, sort of a classic delivery. But here's the difference maker: the ability to fake one way, run the other, then do a little power sweep down on the goal line. Just aren't many things that guy can't do, and dancing's pretty good too.
11 of 17 through the air, 111, 36 more yards on the ground for him. Big hole for Stewart, who gets stopped just shy of the first down. That's Darian Stewart, who collects him just short of the 35-yard line, but see if they're going to give it to him or not.
One of the things, Al, they've been doing in this game is using this bunch formation. They also used that in the Super Bowl a few times, and it was really effective against Von Miller. But they got in and out of different things, and they didn't chip consistently enough. They didn't go to that consistently enough, and Cam Newton just dropped too deep and made it too easy on Von Miller.
Well, they gave him those extra couple of inches. I thought he'd come up short, but they put the ball right at the 35. So it is a first down. And Newton to the 39. You talk about that mesh point. That's about as long as you can hold it with your back, keep it, and try, of course, to outsmart the defense. That time he's able to pick up 4.
Watch how long Cam is going to hold this in the belly of Jonathan Stewart. And finally, it took forever, but Von Miller finally took the bait. I mean, he sat there and sat there. Watch, he's going to move right along with him and then just yank it out. That is much harder than it looks because the back has to really trust that quarterback.
2nd and 6. Stewart again. Shifty little move there. And with that last burst, he may have picked up another first down.
I'm really enjoying watching Jonathan Stewart run the football. 240 pounds of a guy, but watch how elusive he is. I told you earlier, 56 missed tackles he forced a season ago. Just watch the way he just sort of dances through this hole. Looks like you got him, looks like you got him. Now let's spin a little bit. Use your power, drive it on through. Really a good game.
This time they don't give him the first down with that last burst. 3rd down inches. Fozzie Whitaker is now in the backfield. Fake to him. Newton will keep it, and Cam's going to get stopped short. Ray comes up along with Talib. So they take him out just short of the first down. 4th down.
Shane Ray just going to make a tremendous play here. He stuffs the wide receiver, Devin Funchess, and stops him short. And that was a must-have stop on this drive. Keep Talib comes up and sticks his shoulder in there as well. Huge play.
Jordan Norwood back to receive the kick. He had a 61-yard punt return in the Super Bowl, the longest in Super Bowl history. And Andy Lee, longtime 49er, sends this one into the end zone. After the 20, he will come when we come back, and we'll come back with Peyton Manning.
I usually sleep in till noon. We're the Rove. This was an early morning for me.
Give Eli a call, and Simeon back to pass. Beautiful. Caught at the 36, and up to the 43 goes Demaryius Thomas. Your thoughts about what you've seen from Simeon so far in the first half?
I think he's done well. I think he's hung in there tough. Got a tip ball, which I've always thought should be illegal. Like
official scorer wouldn't give it to you.
Ought to be banned like pine tar and baseball out. You know, tip ball interceptions, and you know, had a fumble, but he's hung in there tough. You know, first start, good throw right there. So
just hits that back foot and lets it go, doesn't it?
That's right. That's right. He can make all the throws. Didn't have the ball in the whole second quarter. So
there's a gain of 23. They give it to C.J. Anderson. I mean, you missed the 1 year because you were hurt, but then you were an Ironman. So what's it like for you knowing that You're not coming. Well, you're not coming back, right? That we know.
Right. That's right. I'm out. I'm out of eligibility. That's that's official. It's it's different. Obviously, I mean, certainly when you're not playing when you're injured, that's different. But this has been fun. Obviously, being a part of the pregame was special. Bringing the trophy out there, that was quite an honor. And watching the Broncos play, where you know a lot of these guys, you know Emmanuel and DT, and I talked to Trevor last night, and oh, baby.
Incompleted, but a flag. Demarius Thomas, he had the rookie Bradbury covering.
Now you're not allowed to cheer up here. You understand that, right?
I have to be biased? Okay.
No,
right.
Unbiased.
Number 24.
If you're biased, you'd be accused of like me.
Unbiased. That's right. That's what that means.
It's trending on Twitter. Penalty on Bradbury, and that's a first down.
You get the rookie corner on the outside and physical down the field and get the call.
I'm just kind of enjoying Al, just being a fan this year. You know, pulling for guys that you know, coaches that you played for, and players that you played with, and obviously we'd be pulling hard for Eli and the Giants, but
sure.
Certainly have a lot of respect for this coaching staff and these players. That way, good way.
Anderson, good run, good tough run. Close to a first down as he gets to the 30.
I tell you,
he's a little slow in getting up.
Having Andy Janovich in there, they're doing some isolation plays, and they're doing some double teams, and they're doing some cool stuff in here. Down, now you're going to kick out this guy right here. This old Dallas Cowboys coming through with Moose Johnson, and that looks pretty good. This is so much of it before was sort of a blend, right, of your offense and what Gary Kubiak liked to do, but you can sort of see Gary Kubiak's fingerprints all over this now.
All the way. And what it does, Chris, as you know, it keeps Carolina in their base defense, which they can't be as complex, can't junk it up, which is a lot easier for a young quarterback to be able to see.
Keep Janovich in there. He took Thomas Davis out the last time. Simeon gets hit as he throws, and it's picked off at the 11-yard line by Benet Ben-Wickery. So the pass underthrown, Simeon under pressure, and Ben-Wickery is there with inside position in front of him to make the interception. Third turnover for the Broncos. Kurt Coleman put the pressure on the blitz. Carolina has the ball. No better name in the league than Benet Ben-Wickery. And Benet Ben-Wickery just picked off Trevor Simeon. Third turnover for the Denver Broncos, and it gives Carolina the ball at their own 11-yard line with 9:10 to go in the third, and Carolina up 17-7.
Third time inside the 30-yard line and no points.
Start with Stewart on the ground. Finds a little room to the outside, takes it to the 18, and back we go to the pick.
All right, Peyton, here you go.
Well, they got a tight end in there, a tackle in there at tight end, so that safety knows and he's not running out for a pass pattern, right? So as soon as he blocks, he rushes right away. The back might have should have been over to come help him out, but because it's a tackle, that safety did a great job of not delaying at all and got pressure on Trevor. And he had him, Chris, for a touchdown. He could just get a little bit more on it.
Yep, just right in his face. Maybe didn't get a chance to follow through, and it cost him. Look out.
Newton play fake, going deep downfield, then throwing it incomplete.
That's the same sort of throw that Simeon just had to make, but because Cam's so big and so strong, he was able to get it there.
Yeah, that's a throw only certain guys can make.
I mean, falling away,
foot, 40 yards.
Knowing you're going to take it right in the gut.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing what he can do off his back foot. The guy rarely steps into any throws.
He can make all the throws. It's impressive.
Shaq Barrett was the guy who got to him. By the way, you were so good, that's your audition tape if you ever need one.
Yeah, he's going to need an audition tape.
3rd and 3.
Look out.
Under pressure, and down he goes at the 9-yard line. DeMarcus Ware. Brandon Marshall came in as well, but DeMarcus Ware.
I thought he had a bad back. Watch him bend coming around this corner. Watch how low to the ground he is. Basically goes right underneath Michael Orr to get the sack, and a huge play to give this offense one more chance. Brilliantly done.
Newton's got the bad back after that one.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, baby. So there is Cam. Here is the punt now from Lee. Their backup quarterback is Derek Anderson. What a kick. Fielded after a juggle at the 15-yard line. And back to the 25, and a flag goes down. That's Jordan Norwood.
I don't know what they're paying Lee, but it's not enough.
76-yard
to get you out of a hole like that. And this is the bigger news here, though.
During the return, holding return team number 52. 10-yard penalty. First down, Denver. Timeout.
So it was 76 yards, a 12-yard run back, and then tack on another 10 to the back of that 74 net. But it's all about Newton and his health right now in Denver.
Cam Newton trying to walk it off on the sideline right now. Took a big hit. We showed you the sack by Ware, but here comes Von Miller and helmet-to-helmet contact right there. And then Cam sort of buckles back over his legs and has been limping a bit on the sideline. Clearly a foul there. It was not called.
And after the booming punt, now Simeon starts from the 14. And this is Anderson. Well, Peyton Manning is in the booth with us. So, Peyton, your future. What do you see down the line for yourself next year, 5 years from now, 15 years?
Well, I'm kind of looking forward, Al, this fall to kind of taking a breath and kind of seeing what it is that I miss, what it is that I don't miss. It's pretty nice up here. I got to tell you, you don't get hit in the back, after you say anything.
Just draw whatever you want.
Not
up
a bad
there,
gig up here, but no, I really meant when I said looking forward to being a football fan this fall, and it's my first fall in 25 years out where I've kind of had a chance to do some things I've never gotten to do before. And our kids started kindergarten 3 weeks ago, so we've started a whole new chapter of our lives besides just not playing football. So I think this fall will kind of give me my answer as to what I want to do, what I don't want to do.
Are you in the carpool line? Are you in the drop-off, Dan? Are you doing all right?
8:30 drop-off, 3:45 pickup.
There you go.
I'm there.
All right.
He likes it up in the booth. Wait till he starts picking up anti-social media after one of these games, right?
Just type in my name. You'll love it.
3rd and 14. That's caught underneath. They'll have to punt. Virgil Green makes the catch, and a little uneasiness in the Mile-High crowd.
This Carolina defense pretty good, aren't they?
They are good.
How good to see,
third and longs is no good. Al,
golf game any good?
You guys are the best. No, just the same. Just the same.
The same.
Chris, thanks for what you guys do for football. We enjoy watching you do your thing. It's been a real pleasure being up here, and look forward to watching you all season.
Thanks for what you did. And as we go to break after this punt, you're just going to have to tell us as the kick is angled toward the sideline. Fielded at the 32 by Ted Ginn. Once again, your favorite city in Nebraska.
Omaha.
And on that note, we go to commercial. Cam Newton is back. Scary moment for any Panther fan after he was hobbling around after the last sack. This time he's racing away to get out of trouble as he's pushed back by Shane Ray and incomplete. And we go to Michelle.
Well, yeah, when Cam limped off the field after that sack, he was in a lot of pain. The medical staff was looking at his right lower leg or ankle area. He ran around on it, did some high stepping. He looked really discouraged, but then he sat with Ken Dorsey, the quarterback's coach. They looked at pictures and got him ready to come back in.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Crowd booing. They thought that should have been grounding. You got to be outside the tackle box or the extension of the tackles all the way back, and he was real close.
And there wasn't a receiver anywhere around, so it would have been a foul.
So 2nd down and 10 from the 38-yard line. Off the fake, and the throw is low, intended for Corey Brown. 3rd down and 10.
Of course, the Super Bowl, this matchup was all Von Miller, but tonight, much better. Of course, he's had a little help along the way, too. Some chip blocks on the outside. But many times so far, he's had Von Miller just one-on-one, Mike Remmers has. And then finally, the hit to the head of Cam Newton and the injury. But for Mike Remmers, this is a major comeback from the Super Bowl matchup.
3rd and 10 now from the 38-yard line. And Cam almost goes down, then flips it to Stewart, and he has room. Flag is down. Was he across the line is the question. Broncos are signifying that he had crossed the line of scrimmage, which was his own 38 and a half. And obviously we'll have it for you after Steratore makes the call.
Foul. Face mask, offense, number 67, 15-yard penalty, replay, 3rd down.
That's the All-Pro center. That's Ryan Khalil, been to 5 Pro Bowls. Check him out here.
Right over here, it's going to happen. You'll see the face mask be yanked down, and immediately Derek Wolf's arms go up and say, "What was that?" But that was once again one of those plays where Cam Newton scrambles. The man coverage guy, that time Brandon Marshall, came up to get Cam, dump it over the top. They've had a couple of those. Let's see if they could do it again.
Hustled to the line. It's 3rd down and 25. And they'll try to pick up a little bit of that. And they do on the pass to Corey Brown. You get another flag now as Brown takes it out to the 36.
Prior to that snap of the play, it's a false start offense. Number 17. That is a 5-yard penalty. We will replay 3rd down.
Right, so there's no play because the false start ends the play before it starts. So there's nothing to decline. Devin Funchess is going to take him back another 5 yards and make it 3rd down and 30.
Can't imagine anything but screen, draw, send the punter out. Not putting my quarterback in harm's way right here.
That's gotten the crowd back into the game with a little less than 5 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. Panthers up by 10. It's only a 3-man rush, 8 back, and it's caught by Benjamin. And he swings to the outside, and it's taken down at the 32-yard line. Just for a moment, looked like he might be on his way to escaping, but it's 4th down and 17. And that brings Andy Lee back into the game. His last punt went 78 yards.
Well, in that kind of a situation now, you get Von Miller is going to drop back and be the spy right there against Cam Newton, not wanting him to take off and pick it up on his own.
Jordan Norwood back. Lee sends it to Boulder. Caught at the 8 by Norwood. And he's taken out of bounds at the 23-yard line with 3:58 to go in the 3rd.
Flossing his teeth. I've never seen that.
Looking for a manicurist.
No wonder his teeth look so good.
Right. And that's a pass caught by Anderson. He's tackled there by the linebacker Thomas Davis. Yep.
How about that? You're the MVP. You know, you got a little lead in the game, up 10. Let me just do a little hygiene work here. You know, he's just a unique guy. What are you going to say? He dances when he comes out on the field for pregame. He does the airplane thing. He has fun. He loves it. He loves playing a game of football.
Do you bring your own floss, or does the trainer have that in the equipment?
You got a floss guy. If you're the quarterback, you're the MVP, you got a floss guy, don't you think?
Thank you. 2nd and 4. Simeon dancing around, buying a little time, looking for the first down, has it, and scoots it out of bounds up at the 40-yard line.
One of the reasons they were so adamant that they were going to try and keep C.J. Anderson was his ability to protect the quarterback. He is one of the better blocking backs in the league, and you saw at that time Thomas Davis, no easy assignment, kept his quarterback clean.
Simeon to this point 12 of 17 for 121 yards. He's also carried 3 times for 18 yards. Play action, swing it to Virgil Green, and Green gets taken out of bounds after a short gain. Run out by Shaq Thompson.
One guy we haven't mentioned yet, Russell Okung, who came over from Seattle, actually was a part of that Super Bowl win by Seattle back in the day, running right at you off the side, and he is going to get a late hit right there on Kirk Coleman to make sure that one didn't get tackled in the backfield. Big guy, really added a physical element to this offensive line along with Donald Stevenson. They feel like their 2 tackles much more physical than what they had a season ago.
A little over 2 minutes to play in the third quarter. It's 2nd down and 12. Good pocket for him, and the pass right on the money at the 50-yard line to Virgil Green. Started on the right side, then he reset on the left side. Over the middle he goes for a gain of 13, first down Broncos.
How impressive is this throw and catch? There is a micro window right there. And Virgil Green, who is a fast guy, you know, he came out of college running 4.4 something and really was relegated to be the blocking back or blocking tight end in this offense for so long, but he has some skills.
He took a shot. John Phillips comes in at tight end now. C.J. Anderson bouncing his way to the 40-yard line. So the bowler knocking down some pins on that run. First down.
He got a little help too. Watch Michael Schofield, the guard here, is going to get right there on this reach block and take him right to the ground. You get somebody on the ground in the running game, and more often than not, you're going to pop one off for 10 yards or more. Here they're back down in that danger zone again. They've been here before and just haven't been able to convert it except that one time.
Capri Bibbs is the running back here with Anderson needing a rest. He's swinging out to Bibbs, and that's a gain of 6 yards. Tackled by Robert McLean. It'll be 2nd down and 4 at the Carolina 34.
There are quarterback coaches all over the league that just went, look at what I just saw. He gets pressure off the backside here, just going to turn and flip this thing. But his accuracy on some of these short throws, that looks so easy, and it's just not. Trevor Siemian, if we could take away from the 30-yard line in, is just having a great night between the 30s. Now they just have to get some points on the board.
Well, they've had 3 turnovers, and that's caught on a slant. That's a first down. Flag on the play. Emmanuel Sanders makes the catch. And Gene Steratore will be the next voice you hear.
Prior to the pass, holding defense number 24. A penalty is declined. The result of the play, first down.
And the rookie corner out of Samford, James Bradbury.
You know, Al, you can tell that Trevor Siemian has their attention on Carolina's defensive side now. They are starting to send more and more pressure and creating some man coverage opportunities now for Denver down the field.
He's saying, I'm not a placeholder for Paxton Lynch. I can do it. End of 3, 17-7. Back after these messages. Opening game of the season. The Broncos have outgained the Panthers, but the big thing at the bottom right there, those 3 turnovers, one led to a touchdown. And then Carolina, Chris, had that big 89-yard, 18-play drive.
That was really the difference, wasn't it?
And those 3 points, Olsen made that real smart play at the end of the half to allow them to kick the field goal. So the ball now 1st and 10 at the 25. Little dump off. C.J. Anderson. He's inside the 10. He goes to the end zone. C.J. Anderson. And that's a 78-yard drive, a 25-yard touchdown, 8 plays to turn it into, pending the extra point, what will be a 3-point game.
All right, this is called a green blitz. He has him in man coverage. But when he comes to block him, he thinks he's going to go get the quarterback. Instead, what happens? You just sneak out, and there's nobody to cover you. Screen pass, you could see it from the very beginning of the play. They just had him nailed. The man coverage guy blitzed. Nobody left. Really well done, not only by Trevor Siemian, but C.J. Anderson. That takes some acting skills when you're going against a veteran linebacker like Thomas Davis. just brilliantly done.
Good block by the center. Paradis along the way as well. And now McManus for the extra point. Ten seconds into the fourth quarter. Season opener. Good one in the making here. Carolina 17, Denver 14. And McManus's kick through the end zone to the 25-yard line, where Carolina will now start. Well, Simeon, and we went through the chronology before. I mean, you've got Osweiler, looks like he's going to be the guy when Manning retires, but then he takes the money and runs. So John Elway has to bring in Mark Sanchez. He looks like he's going to be the guy to kind of run, the offense for a while, experienced and all that. They move up in the draft to get Paxton Lynch, who probably is the guy of the future. And then Simeon's kind of like this other guy who was hanging around last year, and he wins the job. But it was a meritocracy during training camp. He won it.
No doubt. And by letting Osweiler walk, they signed Emmanuel Sanders and Von Miller and C.J. Anderson and Brandon Marshall.
This drive from the 25. Here goes Stewart again. Leaps his way up to the 31 for a gain of 6.
Yeah, I don't think too many people are going to question too much that John Elway is doing anymore. He is hit the right chord many, many times, and not just with players. I mean, remember, Gary Kubiak was a friend of John Elway, and there were a few eyebrows raised when John Fox was allowed to move on. And how'd that work out? First year Super Bowl.
Remember, Tim Tebow had led him to a playoff win. Jettisoned him. That's tipped in the air, and it's picked off at the 43-yard line. Flag comes into the end of the play. Chris Harris has the football. Intended for Benjamin.
Whether it stands or not, that's one of the great plays you will see.
Harris on the coverage, forcing it, and with the pick, and gets his elbows underneath it.
The ruling on the field is an interception by Denver. Following the interception, there was a personal foul, unnecessary roughness by number 68, Carolina. 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the interception. First down, Denver.
That's the guard, Andrew Norwell. And they are fired up, obviously, on the Denver sideline. 3-point game. It's amazing that Harris was able to keep the ball off the ground as well. Here comes Norwell at the end of the play. And that's pretty easy to determine.
I tell you, this Chris Harris never ceases to amaze me. One of the most competitive guys, small guy, makes brilliant plays like that game after game that I watch.
From the 23-yard line. Through the hole. To the 14 goes C.J. Anderson for a gain of 9. And Anderson on his way to a 100-yard night. He's carried the ball now 14 times for 84 yards.
A lot of changes on this offensive line for the Denver Broncos, and they are paying off big. Max Garcia playing right here. Watch him reach out here and end up getting in front of K'Wan Short and making the key block on that one. These guys across the board, this running game is better than it was a season ago.
2nd and 1. Crowd quiet. Letting them call the signals. And this time no gain. KK Short getting him from behind. 3rd down and 1.
Just the opposite happened that time. K'Wan Short right there, and there's no way Garcia is going to beat him to the punch this time. Right in the backfield, make a big play. K'Wan Short, no question, 11 sacks a season ago, one of the absolute best defensive linemen in football.
That was tied for the lead among guys who normally play on the inside. 11 sacks. Olsen shakes his head on a 3rd and 1. Kubiak trotting down to get a little closer look at the action. Inside fake. Simeon's going to run for the first down, and out of bounds he goes at the 10-yard line.
For some reason, just did not like the slant inside to Demaryius Thomas. Pulled it down and just goes and picks it up. The athleticism has come into play several times now for Trevor Siemian. Didn't pull the trigger. You wonder if Gary Kubiak had already made up his mind if that was going to be incomplete. He'd come back and go for it on 4th down.
From the 11 to the 8-yard line goes C.J. Anderson.
I tell you, it's good to have Charles Johnson back in there for the Carolina Panthers, number 95. Here's a guy with 30-plus sacks over the last 3 years prior to last year. Some injuries and just had 1 sack, but now with Johnson on one side, Coney Ely on the other, K'Wan Short, this is a very, very good defensive line.
11 and a half left in the 4th on 2nd and 7. Good protection, fires over the middle, and he's lucky that wasn't picked off. Demaryius Thomas couldn't handle it. Bradbury almost had the pick, and it's 3rd down and 7.
A young quarterback has to learn this one. You're throwing him into harm's way. You want to put this throw right on his body right here. Watch him lead him across the field, and that draws the safety, Trey Boston, into play. Just take that completion. You've got a big receiver. Let him wheel around, maybe fall back for another couple of yards. But no question about it, there's a safer way and a better way to make that throw.
3rd and 7 from the 8. Simeon throws a low throw, and it is caught Emmanuel Sanders. And now what? And they're going to put the ball, well, they give him a very good spot if you're a Denver fan. Number 1, did he catch it? Let's check that out. Then he gives him a great spot.
But the ball,
he caught it
down immediately. So wherever that catch was,
yep,
is exactly where they should mark it.
And they mark it at the 1-yard line. And that's going to be a 1st down. If you're Rivera, you can challenge it. You know, you could set him up with a 4th and half a yard or whatever, but they don't.
They call a timeout.
Yeah,
they're going to take a longer look at this.
Yeah, I mean, this has to be reviewed by challenge.
58 from Carolina called a timeout. Their first timeout of the half.
And of course, they ran out of timeouts in the first half, and it cost them
a timeout. They want to, you know, the guys upstairs have a great look at it as well to see whether, as we go back to the replay, he got the 1st down. If he doesn't get the 1st down,
you can't change anything off of that because you can't see any hash marks, and you can't. This may be a little better look. Let's see. And he's down right there. I think clearly short.
No question.
That line. If the yellow line is correct.
Yeah, it's not official, but
down
it's close enough.
Right there. His knee is on the ground, and he is short of that. That is a great job by Thomas Davis calling that timeout.
So if Rivera wants to challenge, here he goes. He's going to probably, I think, win the challenge. Again, you're looking for those landmarks, and you don't see the hash marks in a couple of those replays. But then he forces Kubiak into a decision. Do you tie the game with a chip shot field goal, or do you go for it on 4th down?
Carolina is challenging the spot on the previous play. Timeout.
Okay. Pretty good opener, huh?
Oh, yeah.
We think Rivera is going to win this challenge, and it's going to be 4th down and inches. Here it is again. There's the yellow line. He has to get to the 1-yard line.
And he has to get contacted.
Right, so he has to get contacted right there.
Now, and it still looks like he's short.
And here we go again from a different angle. Those are the official sticks on that side of the field. So he's right there. He looks to be inches shy. And Sterator, of course, will make the call. Here he comes.
After review, the ruling on the field has been changed. The runner did possess the ball, however, was down by contact at the 1.5-yard line. It will be Denver's ball, 4th down, and a 0.5 yard to go. Carolina called 1 timeout, but will not be charged with their second timeout of the half.
And the first thing you have to tell everybody on the defensive line is do not jump off sides, because that would be a first down here.
Right, half the distance.
So they may or may not snap this, but you at least are going to take this chance here.
Is eligible.
Your offensive line has been doing a great job, but that is one lean, mean defensive line, and they have drafted to it.
4th and inches. You bring the fullback Janovich into the game. You got Anderson as the back. C.J. Anderson, and he looks to have the first down, but not the touchdown. So that will make it first down. He needed inches. He got at least to the 1 and probably a little inside when they unpile, and that will give him a first down.
Really good blocking up here. Russell Okun at the point of attack, but then watch Okun circle back around at the end of this and try and push C.J. Anderson across. We've seen more and more of these kind of scrums, so where did the whistle blow may end up being the question. Did it already blow, or do we get the benefit of this push?
Well, they put the ball down inside the 1. Now they bring the sticks out for the official measurement. This is wild.
Welcome back, NFL.
Yeah. And he has a first down. So, you know, Rivera could challenge that, but he's not going to win that one.
No. And Gary Kubiak pushing all the right buttons so far.
That's that little extra push there.
I think he got the full benefit of that push.
Yep. He did. The grimace by Cam. Ball is at the 1, and it's first down. 1st and goal. Anderson again back of the fullback here. The fake to him. Wide open, and then it's almost picked. It was Coney Ely who had a phenomenal Super Bowl. He had a man open in the back of the end zone, and the pass was thrown too low.
As all the oxygen was just sucked out of this stadium on one more tip pass. This is just a, it's a great call. You're going to have Virgil Green standing wide open in the back of the end zone. Young quarterback floated one earlier, got intercepted, tried to throw this one a little more directly, and this was almost tipped interception number 2.
Green wide open. That's Thomas going in motion. To the ground and stuffed at the line of scrimmage is C.J. Anderson. So it's going to be 3rd down and goal.
This party ain't over yet.
By no means. Kubiak, backup quarterback to Elway for so many years, offensive coordinator for so many years. He's the man who calls the plays.
This is where a Luke Kuechly sometimes can anticipate, can direct, can slant his line, can get a gut feel based on the formation he's seeing. There he is directing traffic.
Sanders in motion, and a timeout taken here. So Denver uses its first timeout of the second half. Crazy. 3rd and goal when we come back to Denver. Third and goal from the 1.5. They go 3 wide here. Send Sanders to the other side. Keep it on the ground and through the middle, and getting into the end zone is C.J. Anderson. The Broncos take the lead. That was like going to the dentist from inside the 10-yard line. Had to run 7 plays from inside the 11.
Watch
they finally
these
get it in.
Combination blocks inside here. This offensive line working together so well. They're simply better, Al, than what they were a year ago. This is the luxury of being able to run the football, protect a young quarterback, but these big guys up front are doing a great job.
McManus with the extra point. So Carolina had a 17-7 lead at the half. 14 unanswered points, and the Broncos are up by 4.
And now comes the altitude debate. Is it a factor? Because clearly the Broncos now have seized the momentum here in the second half.
And there's the altitude factor right there. And they kick way out of the end zone. QB comparison tonight, first half and the second half. Here are the numbers through the first 30 minutes of competition. One time he was sacked was Simeon. One time he was picked, came through a touchdown pass. And meanwhile, here in the second half, Newton is 1 out of 5 and Simeon is 10 out of 13.
And really, Newton hasn't done much at all since he got doubled over and hurt his leg, took a shot to the head. You wonder how he is physically right now.
From the 25-yard line. Cam's going to keep it himself. Up to the 30-yard line. That's a gain of 5. 2nd and 5.
And we have to go back to Chris Harris and the play that he made. That was simply a brilliant breakup against a huge receiver and then diving back to get that interception to set up the go-ahead touchdown.
3 punts and a pick. Harris over to the sideline here on the 2nd down and 5. Stewart chugging his way for a gain of a couple. It'll be 3rd down and 3.
I'll tell you who's had a nice game tonight is Todd Davis. They made the switch inside linebacker for the Denver Broncos. Brandon Marshall, with Trevathan moving on to Chicago, moved over to the playmaking weak side spot. But Todd Davis has had to come in here in a very physical game, and he has been up to the test.
Danny Trevathan leaving, going to Chicago. Malik Jackson leaving as well, going to Jacksonville. Stadium is shaking. 3rd and 2, and Newton throws, and there's a flag for the moment. A first down to Corey, or Philly Brown, if you prefer, either way. Steratore to make this call with 8:02 left. Broncos think it's definitely against the other guys, and the way Olsen is responding.
I think Greg Olsen, who was engaged with the defensive back, so he ended up driving Von Miller, it was, back off the line of scrimmage, and he's going to get called for a pick. Right here, driving back. And in
there
the
is
eyes
no
of
foul for offensive pass interference as a defender engaged with number 88. It will be a first down, Carolina.
They discussed it, overruled the early call, and an important first down for Carolina. Down by 4. Clock running, under 8 to go. First down up at the 44-yard line.
Greg Olsen just won his first case.
Yeah.
He argued it and won it.
Yeah.
Because it was going to go the other way. Unbalanced line one more time.
Had the right jury. And this is Stewart trying to spin free. Gets about 3 yards. Tackled up at the 47-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 7 for the Panthers.
This read option kind of play, Von Miller basically goes unblocked now. So he has to make a choice. And then it's up to Cam Newton. He decides to hand it off. But that time Von Miller saw it and chased it down the line of scrimmage and made the play.
From the 47. Five-man rush, open, Olsen. And that's a first down. There's a flag down as Roby makes the tackle. Penalty markers at the Denver 45-yard line. That's about 8 yards downfield from the line of scrimmage.
I thought it was illegal contact.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact. Yeah. Defense, number 29. Penalty is declined, and the result of the play is a first down.
That's Bradley Roby. who gets called for it.
Once you get past 5 yards, you cannot make contact down here. Sort of settles in, knocks him down. Really sort of set up Greg Olsen to get open.
Olsen, their leading receiver last year. And he and Benjamin tied for the most catches tonight with 5. Fired Olsen, that's number 6, and that's another first down to the 23-yard line. Tackled there by T.J. Ward.
Malik Jackson now plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they are not getting nearly the push here inside that they had in the past. And one of the reasons that Cam Newton had to drop so deeply in that Super Bowl and allow Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware to get there was because Malik Jackson and company had a push up the middle. Not so much tonight.
Drive started back at their own 25. They're now at the Denver 23. Cam looks for space. Newton gets to the 18-yard line. It'll be second down.
I mean, this is just old-fashioned football that used to be with a running back. You're going to get a pull in front, the back in front, all the motion going that way, and then a 250-pound running back that is also your quarterback running behind it. It's just power football. That's all it is. And you have just one extra blocker because the quarterback is running the ball.
Carolina's rushed for 147 yards tonight, and Denver 146 to illustrate. 2nd and 6. Stewart to the 19-yard line. This is the point in the game, obviously, when every third down becomes important. It'll be 3rd down and 5.
Yeah, these two linebackers doing a good job. Trevor Siemian he set him up. He set the table. We've heard a lot of talk about the Broncos wanted to be respected on the defensive side of the ball. Well, Trevor Siemian's done his part, and now they need a stop.
Crowd stomping their feet collectively. Ballpark shaking. 3rd and 5. Play clock at 4. And Newton fires, and that is incomplete. Funchess was the intended receiver. Aqib Talib breaks it up. And in comes the field goal group.
Out of that bunch formation, you're going to see Talib from very deep come in. He sees it all unsettle. He knows exactly who he has, and in there to break up that pass for a huge 3rd down stop.
So Gano comes in for a 36-yard attempt. Andy Lee is the holder. And that perfect kick makes it a 1-point game. 4:21 left on opening night. 21-20 in favor of the champs. Always a class act, known him for a long time. You have too, Chris. Ron Rivera came up with the Bears. Played for the Bears, too. Played for the Cal Bears. Went to Chicago under Buddy Ryan.
And he never changed.
Nope.
You know, he was on the hot seat for a long time in Carolina before it got this good. Same guy then as he is now.
Not only that, but at one point it looked like he was going to be a head coach, and then Chicago let him go, and he got a job as the inside linebackers coach in San Diego. Eventually became the defensive coordinator, and then Jerry Richardson brought him there. We were talking to him the other day. He made his debut with the Bears in week 2 in 1984. It was Denver at Chicago. John Elway was the Denver quarterback, but he was hurt. So starting that game was Gary Kubiak. 32 years ago. Kubiak at quarterback and Rivera making his debut for the Chicago Bears. Khalil getting some oxygen on the bench from the 25-yard line now. Simeon's going to throw, and incomplete, tight coverage there. You got the rookie Bradbury working on the 7-year veteran Thomas. 2nd down.
Without fear. And I'll tell you one thing about Carolina and Ron Rivera and Sean McDermott. You better be a little careful in this part of the game. They are notorious for some trap coverages. When you think something's wide open, just be a little leery, because Josh Norman got some help with some of those pick sixes last year.
Big hole, and this is Anderson, but the defense converges very quickly to limit him to a 3-yard gain. Kuechly and friends make the tackle. 3rd and 7 upcoming.
Now, nobody covers more ground to make more tackles than Luke Kuechly. You can put Thomas Davis on that list as well. They fly around the football field, and there is no place they can't reach. But boy, now we've got one of those moments where Trevor Siemian, and I have no reason to think whatsoever that Kubiak is going to back off at all. There's Sean McDermott right there.
Defensive coordinator. 3rd and 7. Big first down in terms of the clock, if nothing else here. And down he goes, and that is a sack for Trey Boston. So they brought the safety in, and he knocks him down in the backfield to set up a 4th down and a punt.
Well, you knew if Sean McDermott had something up his sleeve, it was going to come. Look how deep he's going to come. You just try to give young quarterbacks looks they just haven't seen. Really a nice job of protection. Just really no way to anticipate pre-snap that he was going to come from that deep, and made the play. And now it's really going to fall back on this defense.
Carolina just called a timeout. That's their second. There was McDermott upstairs. Came from Philadelphia. Then the defensive coordinator with Carolina. You hear Steratore saying just reset the clock.
Yeah,
getting 7 seconds.
He and Ron Rivera both learned under Jim Johnson up there in Philadelphia, one of the great defensive minds, and some of these pressure schemes. And of course, Buddy Ryan probably had a little something to do with Rivera as well.
Mm-hmm. No defending champion in the history of the league, winning an opener after trailing by 8 or more in the 4th. Broncos trailed by 10 as we started the 4th tonight. They were down 17-7, so they're trying to do something that has not been done. As the rookie out of Syracuse, Riley Dixon, will send a punt toward Ted Ginn.
Not good.
And it's a short kick.
Not good.
Nope. And it's going to, with a flag down now at the 40-yard line. So that's not what the Broncos had in mind. The flag is down back near the line of scrimmage. Was 4th down and 17.
I'm sure they're probably figuring out if there was a hold or some kind of foul. Was it before or after the kick?
Crowd restless. It's a long conference. Sent the jury home for the night.
There is no foul for holding on a member of the kicking team on the play. As the ball was kicked, he's a member of the defense. It will be Carolina's ball, 1st and 10. Timeout.
Huh? We'll be back.
Got him.
Who they're going to call it on?
I think it's on
Carolina.
Kelvin Benjamin. I think it's on the wide receiver.
Initial indication was
False
Carolina.
start.
Yep.
Offense. Number 67. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
Well, Khalil the center.
And it was Benjamin definitely flinched on the play. Let's see if they've got some new rules. They're not going to let you. Oh, that little snap of the head. Maybe they said that was too much. But clearly Benjamin on the outside definitely flinched, and Chris Harris saw it.
So that makes it 1st and 15. Pressure. Down he goes at the 31-yard line. Todd Davis having a big night. There's Ware putting his finger in the air. And it was 1st and 15. Get him back at the 30-yard line for a 4-yard sack. It'll be 2nd down and 19.
You're going to see the blockers come in, and as they do, all the defenders do is blitz. It's called the green dog, the green blitz, whatever. So the more people you leave in the block, the more pressure Wade Phillips is going to add on, as he calls it.
2nd and 20. Newton to the outside. Can he get around Ware? He does, but then he gets bumped out by Roby. Good news for Carolina is at least they stopped the clock. They only have that 1 timeout left plus the 2-minute warning, and it's a 3rd and a mile. 3rd and 15 coming next.
You can see how much tougher it is for Von Miller because Cam Newton is not getting that same kind of depth, that 10, 11 yards of depth. And boy, I tell you, Cam just took another shot to the helmet from Roby.
3rd and 15. Have to get to the 50 to convert. Pressure again, sacked at the 29.
Yes, sir.
Miller, sooner or later. That man in the Super Bowl was a singular weapon of mass destruction. 4th and 22 as we come to the 2-minute warning. 21-20 Denver. Fourth and 21, they're compelled to go for it. They only have 1 timeout.
And they've got all the big guys coming down here. All of the big guys, 6'4", 6'5", throw it up in the air. See if you can out-jump somebody.
Got to get to the 50. It's a 4-man rush. Newton fires, and it's incomplete, but there's a flag at the 44-yard line.
Oh, boy, he had it in his hands for a second.
Benjamin was there. Talib and Stewart with the coverage on a 4th and 21. And the call.
Illegal use of hands, hands to the face. Defense.
Wow.
Number 25.
First down.
That's a 5-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Chris Harris on a 4th and 21. A 5-yard penalty, but it carries with it the automatic first.
Right here. Hands to the face. Is that what they're called?
That's what it was called.
Right there. Can't deny it.
So the Panthers get new life. First down at the 34-yard line. 1:54 and 1 timeout for Carolina. And chugging his way for a gain of about 4 goes Mike Tolbert up to the 39-yard line.
Wow.
Of course, now you're looking to get into field goal position at a mile-high altitude, and Graham Gano putting it up to him to maybe win the game.
What did Gano do that time? He had to kick from the 20. He kicked it out of the end zone. So anything's possible here.
2nd down and 5. And Newton is able to get it away, but he gets hit as he throws, and the pass is incomplete. Shaquille Barrett came around the corner and made contact as Newton released it. So it's 3rd down and 5.
Shaquille Barrett, here's a young man that has really had an impact. Gets right around Remmers. Trey Turner tries to come help, and neither one of them can get there in time. You know, you just need to get somewhere where you have a chance. You get one completion to Kelvin Benjamin in the middle of the field, and you're basically in field goal range.
3rd and 5. That play clock is down to 3, 2. And he has to take his last time out.
Boy.
Whoa. They were so slow getting out of the huddle. I'm thinking, what are they doing? And that's their last time out.
Oh, it's just hard to believe how poorly they've been with these timeouts tonight.
Well, they had to take one when they won the challenge, but Rivera had to wait to see what the guys upstairs were saying, and they won that challenge on what would have been a first and goal or a fourth and goal. And then they just squandered this one right here. Michelle?
Hey, I spoke with Graham Gano before the game, and he said this altitude adds to his kicks immensely. He said a 60-yarder here in Denver feels like a 50 at most places. In spite of the fact that Andy Lee is his 5th holder since the Super Bowl, they have found a rhythm, and Gano was really confident coming into this game, guys.
Yeah, and Michelle, and Andy Lee is a punter tonight, a 76-yard kick. So we know what 5,280 feet means.
And Matt Prater had one from 64 yards here, and that's the record. So big targets, middle of the field, first downs, and they are getting close to range.
3rd down and 5. Pressure is put on. Pass is caught over the middle, and that is Greg Olsen making another catch. Tackled by Ward for Olsen tonight. That's 7 grabs. Clock ticking down to a minute.
Boy, that is some move by a tight end to get away from T.J. Ward.
From the 47. They rush 5. To the outside, and it is incomplete.
Wow. Chris Harris
right there, very close. Very close.
He wasn't even in coverage on that guy, and dives backwards and almost, man, that would have been 2 of the greatest interceptions ever. The one he had earlier.
And made up for the hands to the face, which could be the key play of the game right now if Carolina wins it. 2nd down and 10.
A run is not out of the question. You are so close to field goal range in this building.
Again, the pressure put on. Newton tries to escape, just has to dump it away.
Get it back to the line of scrimmage.
Right, and the flag is thrown. Shaquille Barrett put the heat on. Newton writhing on the ground. And the flag was thrown. And so Cam now. The question is, can he even continue at this point? Here comes Stewart.
Oh, it's a shot to the head, too.
Right. Yep, helmet to helmet.
It's got to get back to the line of scrimmage. That pass, I believe, and I don't think it did. So you're going to have a personal foul. And then whatever they decide on whether or not it's intentional grounding, even though he's outside the pocket.
Could be offsetting. Derek Anderson, who was warming up before.
Was close.
There are fouls by both teams on the play. The first foul is personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense. Number 26. Prior to that contact, the quarterback did release the football. Although he was outside of the pocket, the football did not get back to the original line of scrimmage. Therefore, it is intentional grounding.
Right.
Those fouls will offset and will replay 2nd down.
Man, huge break for Denver, because they don't call that one, then they would be in field goal range.
Ron can't believe his quarterback just took a shot like that. And I think he knew all along.
And here's the grounding here. Just trying to escape.
There's the tackle box. He gets outside of there, but all you got to do now is get it back to the line of scrimmage. Didn't happen.
About 5 yards shy of it. But he's able to stay in. The ball is at the 47. 2nd down and 10.
You know, ordinarily you think Cam Newton may take off and run with one. You just wonder how he's doing physically and what he's able to do at this point.
Broncos bring pressure again. Hangs in the pocket, deep, incomplete. Intended for Olsen, covered there by T.J. Ward.
There is a lot of man coverage going on, and that time T.J. Ward won that battle. You know, with man coverage, Al, we've said this before, that man coverage lends itself to quarterback draws and things like that, because if you crease one, wouldn't be surprised here if they end up with a spy this time, just to make sure that one doesn't happen.
29 seconds, 3rd down and 10. Go 4 wide here. Newton flings it over the middle, and that's caught inside the 40. That's Benjamin. So it's with 20 seconds, counting down. He wants to come up and spike the ball. Right now you're looking at about a 56-yard field goal. And now do you want to run one more play before you bring that unit in? But the one thing you're going to have to do is not complete a pass in the middle of the field.
Well, at the very least, even if you're going to kick the field goal, I think you're going to run down the clock, just throw it out of bounds a couple times or something, so that there's no time left, that's the last play. You don't want to turn it back over to Gary Kubiak's offense.
Well, at this point, I don't think you're worried about if he can make the field goal, making them go 75 yards.
You never know, though, right?
Yeah.
Why?
I just think the key thing for these guys is not to run a play when the clock keeps running. 2nd down and 10. To the outside, they go to play it safe in terms of the clock, and it's Ginn making the catch.
Wow, what a gutsy throw and catch.
With 9 seconds. Now you bring in the field goal group.
And you gain a few yards out of it.
Now you turn it into about a 50-yarder.
The previous play will be reviewed.
Right, so you're inside 2 minutes. No challenges being reviewed. So it'll either be a 50-yard field goal or a 56-yarder when we come back.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. Possession, 2 feet down.
And that's a 6-yard gain. Ted Ginn makes the catch, stays inbounds. Those 6 yards means it's a 50-yard field goal attempt for Gano. Gano is a very good kicker, but the one downside would be block kicks. He had 4 field goals and an extra point blocked last year. He has a new holder in Andy Lee. From 50 to in all probability win the game, even though there'll be a few seconds left at the end here. And the Broncos, who have 2 timeouts at their disposal.
Denver has used its 2nd timeout of the half. It is a 30-second timeout.
But they do not want to use their last one. Let's say he makes the field goal, you get it back, you get a Hail Mary, so you want to at least have a chance to call a timeout.
I think they're dead if he makes it.
Help me build a little drama here.
Don't worry, this audience, we've kept the audience all night. We're okay.
So Graham Gano, he was 30 of 36 last year. His long was 52. 2 for 4 over 50 yards. And boy, there's nothing they would like better than to beat this bunch and fly back to Carolina 1-0.
Yeah, that makes that red eye a little more palatable, doesn't it? J.J. Jansen is the snapper. Andy Lee is the holder. And Gano from 50.
If you were to bobble the snap, you could get another chance.
And the kick is no good. Snap a little high. Lee able to get it down, but probably just enough mistiming.
You know, the first one that he kicked went off the upright and in, but it was the right upright, and you just wonder, did he over-adjust a bit with the driver and hook this one? You got to say that was one heck of a timeout. I think Gary Kubiak's done anything wrong tonight.
And the Denver Broncos, with a quarterback who'd never thrown a pass on opening night, take the measure of the NFC champion Carolina Panthers, overcome a 10-point deficit, and win the game 21-20.
You can talk about a lot of guys, but that young man right there, Trevor Siemian, came in and did it.
One more look. Snap a little high. Lee gets it down. Wide to the left. There's Thomas Davis to lead.
What a ball game.
Gary couldn't even look.